Hi! Welcome back to Books, Tea and Biscuits with me, Jojo.
And me, Kim.
And me, Maisie.
And this video is for what we read in October. So Jo's going to go first with what she read, and then I'll go, and then obviously we'll go back and forth as normal. We hope you're all okay. Thank you for coming back to our channel. Jo's just going to cough because she's got a chest infection at the moment, and every time she starts talking quite a lot, she coughs, so it's no bother, but it's no bother, but I mean...
I apologise in advance.
I mean, like, if it takes us quite a while to get through, it's either because Jo's coughing or I'm having a sip of my drink, which is standard, really. So let's get going. Jo, you go first.
Okay, now I'm trying to be as good as gold because of my optician, and she's threatened to tell him on me. So I've only got two to review. The Halloween Party, which is Hercule Poirot. And this was an audio tape, so I didn't read all of it. And the main focus on this, the one I'm going to be reviewing, is the mystery of Hunter's Lodge. Although I've listened to all of them, they're really good. And David Suchet is the one that does all the voices, and it's really good. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Halloween Party. And this Halloween Party isn't the sort that you would expect. It's not adults, although there are adults there. It's all for the children, teenagers, school kids from a certain age up to teenagers, 15, 16, that sort of thing. And Hercule Poirot's friend Ariadne's there. She's a bit concerned.
Ariadne Oliver, is that a name?
Yeah, Ariadne Oliver. She's, as we all know, an authoress.
Yes.
And she does whodunits. And she goes along because she's staying with her friend who lives in this particular village. And they're getting ready. They have a Halloween party every year, and they're getting everything ready. They're going to do games. They're in this really big mansion type house, and they're doing different games for the kids. They're going to be doing dipping for apples, and that's going to be in the library. And you've got the girls that are going to look in a mirror and look for their husband in future life, but there's a couple of lads who've made themselves up to make it all good, and there's all sorts of games and food. And while they're doing the prep, because there's some women there that are there to help, and Ariadne's gone along, but she's more in people's way than anything. But there's a few of the children there helping out, and this one young girl, they're talking about mystery writing and everything, and she says that she saw a murder once, and nobody believes her because she's known to be a storyteller. She's so good at telling stories that she's got her friends at school believing that she went to India when she didn't. So she goes on about how she saw a murder, but when they ask her why she never told anyone, she said that she didn't realise it was a murder at the time. It's just later on in life now, she's about 12, and she's realised it was a murder. And the party goes ahead, and at the end of the party, the mothers have come to collect the mothers that didn't go to the party, they've come to collect their children. And she's not there, and they find her in the library, drowned, her head's in the bucket with the apples. So it's obvious there's been a murder. So Ariadne contacts Hercule and asks him for help, and it goes from there. And there is another murder, which is the young girl's brother, and he gets murdered also in the library. So it's obvious now that there's somebody there who's got it in for these kids, and why. Now, what comes out is the young girl who insisted that she saw the murder. She wasn't the one who saw the murder. Her friend saw the murder, but she insisted she saw it. So she was the one that was murdered instead of the actual witness. But then the witness is put at danger. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end. We all know that Hercule Poirot works out who the murderer is and why, but it's everything that leads up to there. There's not as many red herrings, but it's really complicated because normally I can tell part of the way through the book, I did get a suspicion, but then I talked myself out of the suspicion because it's so well written, and that's Agatha Christie all over. Not as many red herrings, which throws you even more, I think. So I was very shocked to find out who the murderer was. But it's really good. Definitely gave this a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
I liked all the characters, even the ones that were annoying. I liked them, and even the murderer and the attempted murderer. I liked them because they were so good. They were bad, but they were good the way they worked things.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really good read. Recommend it. Even people that maybe aren't Agatha Christie fans, although I can't believe there's no Agatha Christie fans ever. There must always be Agatha Christie fans.
Well, the work's still going after all these years.
Well, this is true, and the Mousetrap's out and about, and we're going to see
soon, next year, hopefully.
Yeah, well, we are, aren't we? We've got tickets. We have? Did you get the tickets?
Not to the Mousetrap.
No, not to the Mousetrap.
Oh,
I said we are going to see.
I thought you meant the Mousetrap.
No. I just mentioned that was still. That's still going strong. So we will see that at some point.
Yes.
But we are going to see Murder on the Orient Express in January, and we can't wait at the Alex.
Birmingham Alexandra Theatre.
On the
Friday the 28th, isn't it?
Yeah. Is the 28th on the Friday?
Whatever the Friday date is.
No, the 31st.
31st
is on the Friday. Right, so Halloween Party, 5 out of 5. Suggest you read it. It's really good. Not as many red herrings, but it does do you ready.
And this cover of the book, I just want to say I recognise this. Even though this is a library book, am I correct? Yeah. This, to me, I think has been donated to the library by somebody, because if I remember correctly, these style books were collected in a magazine.
Yeah. Like you could get the Morse DVDs or videos, and the James Bond car monthly magazines, and you could do it with the Agatha Christie.
I think the first one was 99p, which was The Murder on the Orient Express, or The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and then they'd go up to like $7.99 per magazine, and with each issue of a magazine you get a book, so you can imagine how many magazines you'd need to get to collect the whole book. And what does the spine look like? Oh, I thought it was the one that
makes up the name at the back.
But it's not. But it is still a magazine. But it's nice cover. I like that cover.
I like it, and it's very spooky with the
And I know that because my corner shop has still got one of the very old magazines with the green one, and it's a green book, and it says Elephants Can Remember.
Oh right.
So I like it. But they're nice books, aren't they?
They are. They're lovely.
They're like hardbacks without having the sleeve on. But yes, I
like them. They're really, really good. Really good. So brilliant book.
Okay, so the two I'll be reviewing, guys, is another Agatha Christie. This time it's One Two Buckle My Shoe, and this is about his fear of the dentist. And then I've got Adrian McKinty, The Chain, which is like it was a really hard read actually, but I'll get into that when I review it. And then one that I'll just be quickly grazing over but not fully reviewing, because it's not the type of book that we review on here, but it's A Killer on the Canal, 100 Cozy Crime Puzzles. So it tells the story as it goes through each chapter.
Like the one I had.
Yeah, but they're different puzzles, so like I've got that one, I've got
I like those ones, logic.
I've got riddles, I don't know how to do that one.
It'll tell you at the back, I would think.
I've got Spot the Mystery, so there's loads of different ones in here, but it tells a story. And this one is about fictional detective Harry Rivers as he travels Britain's idyllic canal network.
Apart from the Myrtle books,
you
can get Agatha Christie ones now.
I know, good.
So they're all coming out.
Good, I'll get all of them. So I'm going to review the Agatha Christie one first, One Two Buckle My Shoe. And what this is about is Poirot has a fear of the dentist. But he has to go to get some work done, and his dentist is called Mr. Morley, and he goes to Mr. Morley's office, dentist, but he has to wait down in the waiting area because it's an old style building, and he's got a little book there, and he comes to collect everybody, tells the dentist that Mr. Poirot's here, or Hercule Poirot's here, and then the little... But I keep going to say little boy, he's not a little boy, but he's a boy that takes the patients to the dentist, waits in the lift, and then takes them downstairs and gets the next patient. So they're escorted to the dentist office. So when Poirot goes to the dentist, there's loads of people who he's like analysing, but they don't realise he's analysing them. He doesn't know why he is, but he sees somebody and they look like they don't belong there.
Yeah.
Anyway, he gets called because it's his appointment to go to the dentist. He chats to Mr. Morley, and then he goes, notices that this odd character's no longer there. Goes back to his hotel room anyway, but then 2 hours later he's called back because Mr. Morley's found dead in his dentist's office. But there's no other appointments after Poirot apart from one other gentleman, and he's found dead in his hotel room. So they are connected. Now, this guy, I can't remember his name, the Greek guy, people think he's done it because when a post-mortem is conducted on his body, it says that Mr. Morley killed himself because he injected the patient who's allergic to anaesthesia with too much anaesthetic. But that's not the case at all. No. And Poirot has to dig through and interview all of them patients in the dentist's office and find out why, and it leads him back to one of his friends called Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal, who isn't Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal.
Okay.
And it's called 1, 2 Buckle My Shoe because he realises when he's first speaking to Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal that the buckles on her shoes don't match. One's new and one's not. And then when he finds a dead body of a woman, the shoes are different to what he knows Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal to wear. And it all leads back to, obviously I don't want to say too much, but this one family that are set out to get Mr. Morley for something he hasn't done.
Oh right, so they accused him of something because they believe he's done it.
Yeah, but he was dead a long time before the Greek patient was. So it wasn't Mr. Morley that injected him with too much anaesthetic because he was already dead in his office, not in the dentist's office. Right. So you've got the dentist surgery room, and then at the back of there you've got the dentist office. So she puts your mind on all these avenues because she lets out so many red herrings and surprises, but that's a trail she wants you to go down because she doesn't want you to know from page 1 who the murderer is. But she writes her books in a way that there are obviously literary scholars out there that know she writes in the style where within the first 3 chapters of her book she gives away the answer. Yeah. But very subtly. Yeah. And I'm like, I wish I was that intelligent to know that. But yeah, this is one of my favourites. It's very, what's the word I can use? Very aristocratic. The family are very posh English, as a lot of Agatha Christie's books are. And this is, I believe, number 17 in the whole list of books that we need to get through. Yeah. But yeah, this is one of my favourites. Inspector Japp's in this one, but Hugh Fraser isn't. Captain Hastings isn't in this one.
No, he's not in all of them.
No, but he was my favourite. From what I remember correctly, he's not in this one, but Inspector Japp is. And Japp doesn't want Poirot to go down the route of it's a murder and not a suicide, but Japp's convinced it's a suicide. But Poirot knows from the get-go that it's not, that something's not right, and he can't put his finger on it until he speaks to Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal, who's an actress. Her name is spelled really weird, but he knows the real Mrs. Sainsbury-Seal, and she's not the real one. And he, obviously I don't want to give away the answer, but that's it in a nutshell really. He has to find out who's killed the dentist and why the Greek patient, I'm just going to see if I can quickly find his name, why the Greek patient, all of them, all that connection, and look at the way the name is spelled, S-E-A-L-E, Seal.
I really can't see a damn thing anymore because these cataracts. Oh right, yeah. Yeah. Seal with an E on the end.
So yeah, I love it. I can't wait to read anymore.
Very good.
1, 2 Buckle My Shoe. I give it 5 stars. Obviously, it's an Agatha Christie. There are some Agatha Christies I don't like and I find very boring. Yeah. And there's only 2, I believe. Even the TV show, I'm like, I don't really like that one. But they're from the very first series of the TV show. So I hadn't even
Early
got them.
books then.
Yeah, the early books. But yeah, this is a 5 stars for me. I love this and I can't wait to read the next Agatha Christie book, which won't be for a couple of months because we've already got our plans ready for November
Definitely.
and December.
Yes.
But we will continue to read them as a collection, won't we? So
Yes.
that's my 2 book on my shoe from Agatha Christie.
My second Agatha Christie is a cassette. Now, for those of you that have never heard of cassette players, don't know what cassettes look like, this is them. This is you play the one side, then you take it out, you turn it over and play the other side.
It's like a tape in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a tape. And you can get them with music and everything in the old days. In the 70s, because we didn't have CDs.
When it was all cool. I wasn't in the 70s.
Well, we were very cool.
I went in the 70s.
All right, you missed out. So you could get cassettes in the 60s, 70s, and in the 80s.
And early 90s.
And early 90s.
But then they faded out, didn't they?
Yeah, they stopped them and just did CDs and MP3 and stuff like that. Yeah. But cassettes, brilliant. And you can just lie there and listen to his voice telling you the story.
Yeah.
Now, this is called The Mystery of Hunter's Lodge, and it's got other stories, but that was the story I'm reviewing. Basically, Poirot is unwell. He has flu. He's not well at all. And this chappie comes to ask for Poirot's help. He said he had a phone call from his wife because they lived with his uncle, and who was very, very rich, and they all got on and they lived at Hunter's Lodge. And he got a call from his wife who said that he'd been shot. He was dead. So he came straight from work to Poirot, and Poirot agreed that Hastings could deal with it because he'd been with him long enough, he knows how he does things. But he was to report to Poirot everything in a letter. So he goes back with this chap, and the housekeeper or whatever she was lets him in and says that she will go and get the mistress and everything. And the story is that this American, because they're American, his uncle was American, and this man appeared, this American wanted to speak to the uncle, and they let him in and they could hear this row going on, and then they heard a shot. And when they got into the room, the housekeeper and the wife got into the room, they found him dead. Now, Hastings reports everything back to Poirot, and Poirot tells him who's done the murder. He says to contact Jap, no, not Jap, it was Jap, to contact the police officer in charge and tell him everything. So that's what they do. And the chappie, the nephew, and his wife go away because they can't stand living there because of what's happened. I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end, or the fact it would spoil it, or who the actual murderer is, or was.
Did you have any clues? Did you think who it was?
You sort of get clues. And the first clue I got, I thought, it's so-and-so. And then I kept thinking, well, how did that person manage to do that? And because I couldn't work out how they managed to do it, I thought, well, that's the person I'm going to say has done it. And it turned out I was right. But I couldn't understand how that person did it.
Okay.
And then obviously it's explained how, and I thought, that's how they did it. But it's really good. There's not really any red herrings as such, which is unlike Agatha Christie. But obviously you can't see how the person that killed him. You really can't see that. So there's not really any red herrings because there's very few people to choose who this American bloke was who went in and killed him. but it's really good. I do recommend it. It's not what you think or who you think.
Is it still good though?
Yeah, it's really good. Particularly, Poirot's not there, but you know, he's giving his opinion, and in a couple of these stories on here, Poirot isn't involved in the investigation because he's ill, so he's in bed. But he's telling them.
Yeah.
He sends them communication. They tell him everything, and then he sends them communication. You need to look at this. You need to check this. It's this person, and this is what they've done. And he wasn't even there. So I really, really enjoyed this one. Definitely a 5 out of 5. I've got no problems with it. All the stories in it are good. All the stories are. And they're only little stories, so I would imagine the books, you know, the short story books that they would be in. But yeah, I love this.
Are you going to get any more to listen to?
Oh, I will do, because I got this from the library. I went into Sutton Library, and because they've got cassettes and stuff, and I said I wanted some Agatha Christie. So because the one they got was really old and no good, they requested a new one, which was sent to the library where I go, that's near me, so I wouldn't have to go back into Sutton. So they got it for me, and it's not due back till the 10th. So which is not this Monday coming, but the Monday after. But I'll be taking it back this week because I've listened and read it. So definitely a 5 out of 5. Brilliant, brilliant.
Good. So my next review is going to be The Chain by Adrian McKinty. This was a hard read, but when I got into it I really loved it. And I'll just say at the beginning instead of the end, if I could give it a 6 out of 5 I would.
Oh wow.
It's really, really good. So the protagonist is called Rachel O'Neill. She's on her way to the oncologist because she's having tests anyway because she had breast cancer, and she's had a chemo but she thinks it's coming back, and she had some tests. So she's going to get the results. So her oncologist is waiting for her to turn up. But on the way to the oncologist, she gets a call from this disguised voice saying that they've kidnapped her 13-year-old daughter. She needs to send them $25,000 by Bitcoin, so it's untraceable, to this certain bank account, and then she has to kidnap another child from another family before her child is released.
That's the chain.
That's a chain. So she can't go to the FBI or the police because if anything goes wrong and the chain is broken, they will kill the family who have kidnapped Kylie, who's her daughter. They'll kill Kylie and her mum, and then they'll kill. She said it always goes back in the chain, 3 steps. So they'll kill loads of people if one person screws up. So
the people that have kidnapped her daughter had a child kidnapped.
Yeah, and their child won't get released until they've kidnapped Kylie and Rachel's paid the ransom, then their child gets released. And then when Rachel's kidnapped a child and that family's paid the ransom, then Kylie will get released, right, which is Rachel. So it's a chain. So it's always the person who's the family of the kid who they've kidnapped. One has to kidnap a child and pay the ransom before that person's kid gets released.
Right. But each time it's the initial kidnappers who kidnapped the first one that gets the money every time.
Not the initial kidnappers, no. The people that set up the chain in the first place.
Right.
Who aren't the victims.
They don't actually kidnap anybody, no. They get other people.
Yeah, so the victims and the family are the actual
kidnappers.
Are the kidnappers, but
yeah, they're doing it for a reason.
They have to do it.
Yeah.
They feel bad for doing it, but they have to do it or their family's going to die.
Yeah.
And these are people that always able to get people to watch you. They're listening to what Rachel's saying, they're watching what she's doing, they know that she's had cancer, they know who her ex-husband is, they know all about you, and they have to vet. So you have to choose, send them a list of names of the children you're looking to kidnap. The reason why, so Rachel chooses a wealthy family, she always puts her kids on social media, taking Instagram posts. So he gives her Rice Krispies and she has an allergic reaction to it, she almost dies. He has to go and get an EpiPen and put it obviously into her thigh. And then the little girl hates Rachel. She goes, "You're mean, I really hate you," because they're not allowed, the child that they've kidnapped isn't allowed to see their face, so they always have to go down in ski masks, and then they tie her up into the basement, not of Rachel's house, or they've had to break into another house to do it, because they can't have anybody know who they are. So it ends up that the family of Amelia do their part. Amelia gets released, but then Rachel and her daughter, when Rachel gets her daughter back, they have like nightmares, and they're constantly fearing that they're going to have repercussions because somebody down the line has broken their link of the chain. So look, Kylie's 13 years old, she's wet in the bed, she's suicidal, she's writing in her diary that, you know, the best way is to take your own life. She learns how to escape handcuffs from magic shows, and her little friend Stuart, he comes and asks for Amelia because they usually go out together each weekend to the library or whatever, and she's meant to be doing a presentation on Egyptology for school, and he comes along to the house to work with her on it, but the mum has to lie and say she's poorly, but she's not poorly, she's actually kidnapped, but she can't tell anybody. So the dad, Kylie's dad Marty, gets a new girlfriend called Ginger, and something doesn't seem right with Rachel. So Rachel's always had this fear of the chain, but because other people are wanting to close the chain, she meets up with somebody who's called Theseus. That's not his real name, that's his online name to remain anonymous, and she's called Ariadne online. Meets up with Theseus. He's a Russian mathematician that works for MIT because they're in Massachusetts. He ends up getting killed because he tells Rachel that he's created this app that can track down the location. If he goes on a call with the people who's initiated the chain, the app can track the location, so she manages to find out where these people are. And obviously I can't go any further because then you'll know what happens, but yeah, the chain eventually gets broken, and Rachel and Pete, who's obviously not the instigator, but the accomplice with Rachel, could face up to 50 years in prison for kidnapping, and so could the other people of the chain. But yeah, it's really, really good.
And because they're kept an eye on, she can't really go to any of the law enforcement, FBI, in case it's somebody in the FBI that's doing it. Because they're the ones that... Yeah, but what I'm saying is within law enforcement, they're the ones that can keep an eye on you better. So it could be a member of law enforcement that's involved in the initial, who sets it all going.
Well, it is, but it isn't. That's what I'm going to say. It is.
See, I've not read the book.
No, it's really intriguing.
Yeah, it sounds it.
You can read it if you want, but it says on the front, the only way to get your child back is to kidnap another child.
How horrible sound.
I know. And Amelia is left by a set of swings, and I think that's why the swings on the cover, because she's in a park, dark. She's in a park late at night, so it's really dark, and there's teenagers there, so she walks away from the swings. But Rachel has to get out of the car with her ski mask on and say, your parents are coming to get you, wait by the swings, wait. And she goes, I don't want to, you're really mean. And she goes, if you don't go and wait by the swings, I'll call your mum and tell her I've taken you again. Go and wait by the swings, because the parents have to collect the child for Rachel's child to be released.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So like, yeah,
Sounds
it's really good. It was really hard to read at first because of the concept of the story, but once you get into it and you realise that nothing happens to the children, like there's no abuse or anything.
Yeah. It's just fear.
They're told to, look after the children. The only threat of them is if they don't play their part in the chain, the child will get shot.
So it's the threat, and the
fear,
child is scared. So the child is,
and the parents are,
psychological abuse. So they are abused.
So it's really good. Stephen King has said it's nightmarish, incredibly propulsive and original. Val McDermott has said you'll miss meals, sleep, and you'll stop on the bus, guaranteed.
Definite psychological
Your phone rings.
thriller.
A stranger has kidnapped your child. To free them, you must abduct someone else's child. Your child will be released when your victim's parents kidnap another child. If any of these things don't happen, your child will be killed. Victim, survivor, abductor, criminal. You will become each one. You are now part of the chain.
What a horrible thing to
I
do.
know. But he's got
There's some
praise
very
for
sick
this.
people in this world.
I know, the authors that think of this, but I've just given this book 6 stars out of 5, so what does that say about me? Who's read it? Do you know what I mean? It's really good. But
It's quite worrying when some of these authors have got such imagination. You think, yeah, I would really be worried about you.
yeah, me too.
I'd want them kept an eye on, I tell you.
I liked it because I don't really like the story in regards to the child being kidnapped, but it's suspenseful.
Yeah.
It's a page turner. You just want to keep reading it.
And see what happens at the end.
Yeah, and I've actually bent the spine of this book. I know.
Him?
In the middle, like
That's not like
I
you.
just went.
And
ready.
forgot.
Yeah, because I was like, oh no,
Oh,
it's only
God.
one page, only a small thing. Yeah, I'm usually reading like this.
Yeah. So you must have really been engrossed.
You can
in
see
it.
there where the page opens.
Yeah.
Chapter 48.
Oh dear. You
So,
could have
yeah.
kicked yourself, couldn't you?
But so the book's in 2 parts. So the second part of the book tells you about the people that have started the chain, their childhood and how it came about, the chain, how it started.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to say. Okay. But yeah, it's really, really good. 6 stars out of 5 for this
Lovely.
one.
Right, now I want to show you this because Kim gave me this. This is the bookmark with a difference. There's lots of books in it, and when you read a book, you colour in what you've read and you put whatever money, 50p a book, £1 a book, or £2
Yeah,
a
we're doing
book.
it as a savings challenge,
Yeah.
aren't we?
We are, yeah. So far, although I'm supposed to be resting and not reading as much.
How many are coloured in, Joe? Go on.
1, 2, 3. Actually, I can't
Do you want me to
see.
count?
No, I can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 books are coloured in.
And how long have you had it, Joe? Not long at all.
Yeah.
About 6 weeks, a month and a half or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's read 19 books. In my month and a half, I've probably read 4.
I'm not supposed to be reading
No.
so many books.
No, the optician's actually told her off. So do you want to tell people what we're reading for November?
Yes. Now, November, we're doing new author. Now, obviously, these 6 books have been going for a while because they're in paperback. It's Sarah Yarwood-Lovett, and she, the protagonist,
I'll hold these.
is Dr. Nell Ward, and she's an ecologist. And she comes, she obviously does ecological work for people that are going to be doing building or whatever. She has to do an ecology assessment and survey to see that no wildlife is going to suffer from wherever's going, because this is what they have to do before they build things. And she's interviewed by the police all of a sudden. She was doing an ecology thing for this woman whose husband was going to be doing. She owns this property, and her husband was going to redo it so it would be like a wildlife thing, like a really good centre for all sorts of things. But that's not what he was going to do. He was lying to her. Anyway, she's murdered this young woman, and because Nell was in the tunnel, although she didn't go all the way to the tunnel, the police come and interview her because she's then a suspect. And so she also gets arrested, and she decides she's going to try and find out who actually did the murder. So she's got this colleague who goes under a different name, and Adam. He goes under the name of Adam, but his name isn't Adam. He's an Asian chappie, and when he was at school, nobody could pronounce his name. So he went under the name of Adam. And what nobody knows about now is that she's actually a title. She is Lady Eleanor Ward Beaumont.
Oh.
Her mom is an MP and her daddy obviously a lord, and she lives in a massive, massive place. Now, when Rav finds out, because he's known as Rav after, but at the moment he's Adam, he can't believe it, and he's quite hurt that she never confided in him and everything like this. But it's really good. She actually, her and Rav, work out who the murderer is, and they help the police.
And that's the first book out of 6.
And that's the first book out of 6.
So what's that one called, Jo?
That's A Murder of Crows. So I haven't told all of it, so we will do a proper review on this. But I've read this one, so she's got to read it.
Yeah. And then
the others are A Cast of Falcons, A Mischief of Rats, A Generation of Vipers, A Trace of Hares, and A Swarm of Butterflies. Now, most people always think that a lot of butterflies is known as a flotilla, or something
But
like
it's a
that.
swarm, isn't it?
But it's also a swarm. It can be a swarm. So that's what I like about these. You find out what a group of particular creatures are. So you know it from an old thing.
And what I like about them is they're 3 books for £6.
Yeah.
We got all 6 books. That's one
Definitely. A Mischief of Rats.
Yeah,
I did a
that
quiz recently, and one of the questions was, what do you call a group of rats?
Mischief.
And of course, yours true. So yeah, and I'm looking
Can't
forward
wait to start reading this one tonight.
Yes. I've enjoyed that, but there's a lot more to it, and we will review it totally properly. But it just gives you an idea of the storyline, so you know.
Of Crows.
Yeah, it's very Agatha Christie.
Does it contain A Murder of Crows, or is the title to do with the book?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But because it's the reason they're called that is to do with the story. So that is the name of the person. That's the surname of the victim. So all the creatures are involved in the story one way or another.
Okay.
So they're really, really good.
That's good. I can't wait to start reading these.
So exciting, and they'll be reviewed at the end of November.
Yes.
So
that's everything that we've got to mention today.
Except for in December, we're going to be doing the review of the Lunar Chronicles, which we should have done in July, which we couldn't. But we're doing it in December because the last one being winter and it's Christmas, and they're fairy tales, so which pantomimes and stuff like that. And we're also going to go to, whether we go to a couple of Christmas markets, that's what we're going to do. And at the end of November, we'll let you know what ones they are.
Yes.
Right.
Thank you all for watching, guys.
Yeah.
If you've read any of the books we've mentioned in this video, let us know down below what your thoughts are. If you liked them, what you liked about them. If you didn't like them, why didn't you like them? Do your views match ours? Also, within the next couple of months, we'll do a different style video. So we'll upload a review video one week, and the next video we'll upload a picking out of the special thing we've got planned. And that'll be like our TBR, but I won't mention any more until I've got everything set in place. So yeah, we've got more content coming as well, so loads more stuff to read and do. Definitely. We might have some location videos coming as well, just got to get everything set around that, dates and that as well. So yeah, thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Take care, guys, and have a good November. Bye.
Bye.